Hello and welcome to my daily morning flow. This is the complete A to Z, minute 1 to minute 15 flow that I do each and every day. It all starts with some calf cows. We're going to do this about 5 times here. It's a small movement but effective movement, especially for those who deal with some lower back pain like I do. And it's a great way to just wake up each and every day. So with each neck raise, we inhale and exhale as we arch our backs. Next, we're gonna just walk the dog a little bit here. Downward dog is a very effective stretch that really tackles your entire lower body. So I have very tight calf muscles, and walking the dog really helps loosen that up before we get into the first flow here. This is pretty much your beginner yoga sunrise salute flow. I think that's what they call it. It begins with a reach overhead, try to touch your toes. Then we go into cobra and then downward dog. And then we're going to repeat this process about 5 times here, using some momentum to bring us to the front of our mat, reaching overhead, touching our toes, lift halfway, exhale, release, push-up position, upward cobra, and then back into downward dog. Now you'll notice that I flowed through this pretty quickly. I'm not spending any more time than about 5 seconds per movement here. So we're going to in downward dog, and then we're going to jump or step towards the front of our mat. Inhale, lift, exhale, release, touch your toes. Inhale, lift halfway, exhale, release. And we're going to get back into that push-up position here. Inhale, lift, upward cobra. Exhale, release, downward dog. Now, each time you go into downward dog, we're going to try to push those heels into the ground. And next, we're going to go through the flow again. Reaching overhead, coming back down, trying to feel that stretch through the hamstrings. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, release. Go into your plank pose. Your upward cobra, and then into downward dog. Now when you're doing this, you can go at your own pace, but again, it's about 5 to 10 seconds per pose. I focus more on your downward dog. But then after about 5 times, we're gonna put our right foot towards the front of our mat. We're in a modified lunge position. You could see this as warrior 1, but my heel's pretty much lifted because I want more of a stretch through the through the hip flexor rather. Going into warrior 2, nodding to the camera, hey, what's up? Really just trying to get that hip flexor stretch. Now we're going to reach overhead with our right hand. Exhale, go into a triangle pose with our left hand, getting those obliques nice and stretched out. And we're going to get fancy and pinwheel down into a runner's lunge with a twist. Next, we're going to work on our dorsiflexion here. Ankle mobility is a problem for me, and so I like to put all of my weight on my leading knee here. This gives me a nice stretch through the Achilles and calf muscle while also attacking that left hip flexor as well. And then we're going to go into a hamstring stretch. Now you'll notice here, I spend most of the time here in this hamstring stretch, sip a cup of coffee. My leg's not really bent. I'm really more focused on trying to feel that stretch through the hamstring. And that means really digging my heel into the mat. The harder I press there, the more activated I get that hamstring stretch. Then I scoot my right leg out, go back to my runner's lunge. And I like to push my right knee out to the side here, really flossing that hip crevice. Again, making some space in my hip bone. After a few times doing that, I'll go back into my upward cobra and then back into downward dog. We're gonna tackle the right side here. So I like to do this whole like knee, I don't know what you would call it, but we get my left leg up to the front of the mat here. Again, reaching overhead, feeling that nice hip flexor stretch into this semi-lunge here. Going then into a warrior 2 pose, getting that inner groin nice and stretched. And then we're gonna reach up overhead with our left hand, and then take a breath and go into a modified triangle pose here, reaching overhead with our right hand. And then we're going to take a breath, pinwheel down into our runner's lunge, and go with a twist, bringing our left hand overhead, staring straight up at the garage ceiling, which is very plain and neutral. Then we go get that Achilles taken care of. I like to put a lot of weight, try to get that knee extended over the toe. For some, this is really easy to do. For me, it is not very easy, to each their own. If you want to get more of a hip flexor stretch, now's your time to do it. You want to tilt your pelvis more forward than I am in this if you want to go that route. And then we spend about 20 to 30 seconds here attacking that hamstring. And this is where it'd be nice to have a cup of coffee nearby as you ponder why your hamstrings are so tight. And I can tell you why they're so tight. It's because most of us sit all day. If you have any lower back pain, I suggest doing this stretch at least 2, maybe 3 times a day. Yeah, that's right, David. Get you some coffee. So after you become a little more caffeinated, we're gonna get out of this pose here, move our coffee cup so we don't knock it over, and really work that hip crevice a little bit on the left side. Bringing that knee slightly out there, just working it a little bit. And go into our upper cobra. And finish with some child's pose. This is great, especially if you have tight lats, tight chest. Try to hit that forehead on the mat here. If you do any push-ups, if you do any sitting, again, it's natural for our shoulders to fall forward. This will help prevent that in the day to come. Now, the next and last stretch of this warm-up routine is the most important stretch. I call it the figure 4 stretch. You could do this sitting, but I like to do this on my back. And all the moves up until this point have loosened the muscles surrounding this stretch. You just want to grab the leg that is not bent, not crossed over here, and just try to think about pulling that knee back towards the wall, the one that's crossed over your left leg at this point. So we're working on the right leg right now. Your arm should be interlaced behind your left thigh. And after about 20 seconds or so, we're going to keep that right leg crossed over your left and just let it fall to the left side, looking over your right shoulder. And then we're going to switch. Again, about 20 seconds. Now, for me, my left side's much tighter than my right, so I really have to think about when I have that left knee crossed or the left leg crossed over, pushing that left knee away from my body, away from the midline, towards the wall of my garage here. Taking deep breaths also help deepen the stretch, so take a deep breath and release. And so after about 20 seconds or so, we're just going to let that fall over to the side. Well, right about now. Again, taking deep breaths here. Really being mindful with the stretching. And that will conclude my daily warm-up routine. This routine today took about 10 minutes or so. I encourage you all to make up your own 5 to 10 minute daily warm-up routine, and feel free to use this one. It's great, especially if you have any lower back problems, hamstring problems. And with that, I'll just wish you a very good day. Catch you on the next one.